And that's it. Oh, you just press and hold. That's it. Nothing more. Thank you, David. Hello, we're not on yet.
Okay.
So we're warming up.
Okay.
We're warmed up.
Time to be serious.
Oh.
Get in touch with that.
Yep. This is we're doing a show more serious than usual. Or maybe.
So I'm interviewing you.
Oh, you're interviewing me. Oh, good. Yeah. Oh, good. I have to.
So I can put my arm around
Oh,
you.
yes. Oh, I don't have to generate anything. I'm just here, waiting. Oh, okay. It's so nice to have structure. Oh.
Okay, great. Happy spring to everyone out there. Welcome to AHA, A Human Among Humans. And tonight we were thinking about stories, which has been a theme on many of our shows. And we're coming around to the time of season which actually we wonder how much meaning it might have for people. Wondering how much meaning the stories of spring, thinking of the religious stories, actually have for people nowadays. Or at work, I have someone that studies the Bible actually for hours.
You should. Are you allowed to tell them where you work, or at least what your profession is?
In a
In a
nursing home.
In an unnamed nursing home.
Yeah.
Somewhere within the state of Massachusetts. That's
Yeah.
That's true. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So it has a lot of meaning for this person. She is right at it and writing out pages of stuff, doing Bible study, actually.
Her very self,
and
just alone?
Her very self, and she goes to a group and has homework over the week, and definitely is into it, and some people watching TV shows with a preacher talking. So these have, because I haven't asked them actually how much meaning it has for them, but it appears that it's actually very meaningful. And other people with icons, religious icons, which is interesting because at the end of life they have only so many belongings in their room with what is meaningful for them, because they often share a room and don't have very much space. So it really is often pictures of family and some religious icons often. So yeah, so it's interesting what ends up being important at that time in one's life. So.
And it would be an icon of?
I'm thinking what comes to mind right now is one person has this amazing, it's a black woman that it's a Madonna standing up tall but then having children. Her arms are outstretched and has children way down at the bottom of her feet that are very small. So it seems like an iconography of a black Madonna, actually. But it's funny, I don't have a picture actually of Jesus that comes to mind. At the other nursing home I worked at, there was someone that had that in their room. And it seems like I've seen that a lot, but it's interesting that I don't have a actual detail that comes to mind with it. So, yeah. So we had talked about maybe telling some of the Passover, so the either the Passover story, the Jewish Passover story, or also the Eastern, Easter story.
Good, Schou.
Yes. We're going to steer clear of the Eastern religions for this particular show. Yeah. And maybe what sort of meaning they have for you, if you're willing to share that. And I'd love to hear some of that, and I think that a lot of people out there probably would like to hear it too. So
Well, I'll start. I don't know what meaning.
Yeah,
now.
I think a lot of us sometimes wonder how can it pertain to our lives, and how can we feel connected to some of these stories.
Yes, it seems that. Oh, I'm sorry. Go on. That the repetition of them year after year. Jews have been celebrating Passover way before Jesus. Did you know that the Last Supper was a Passover Seder?
Okay, so the Last Supper, they were celebrating, it was a Jewish holiday that they were all sitting down at the table celebrating.
Yes.
And they were celebrating Passover Seder.
Yes.
At Jesus' Last Supper.
Yes.
Which is a Christian story. Okay. Yeah. And I hadn't known what Passover was until I talked with you one time. So, would you like to explain that now, or would you like me to provide a quick, shortened
Why don't you give me a much
version?
I would love your.
You could go on.
I'd love your
it.
shortened version, and maybe what it means to you, which would be great, if anything.
Well, what I remember of you sharing that with me, which I was surprised that there's an integration of the Jewish and the Christian stories are integrated, and that is that well before the Last Supper, there was a time when Jewish people were in danger in Egypt. And so in order to, they were in danger, I'm not sure if it, politically.
They were slaves.
Okay, they were slaves. But was there a plague? They wanted to be passed over, and so they put blood on their door and not to be hurt, and whether, I forget which way, it was either a plague or it was the political endangerment.
There were actually 10 plagues.
Oh, 10 plagues.
10 plagues according to the Exodus story. The Jews wanted to, they were the Hebrews then, they wanted to be, Moses was wanting to get them free from being slaves. And Pharaoh didn't want them to let them go. People don't let slaves go easily. And the last plague...
So he's like, we need people to help out and do all the hard work.
Yeah.
Don't take that away from us.
Don't take that away. It's another song, Don't Take That Away From Me.
Yeah.
So the last plague, which was brutal, was the firstborn son of every home in Egypt, it said, was killed. Or the homes the homes of the Egyptians, which might have been of stone, were destroyed, and the homes of the Hebrew slaves, which might have been of straw or of much lighter substance, weren't destroyed. One person thought it might have been something like a volcano or an earthquake, I guess, not a volcano. And so the rich homes were destroyed and the poor homes were not, is a secular interpretation of this. And the religious interpretation is the angel of death, not someone you'd like to invite into your home, usually, unless you're into that. Passed over the Hebrews' homes there was blood on the.
So they had already put blood over their
doorposts.
Doorposts.
Yeah. So they knew it was happening.
That would help them out. Yes.
And it was apparently the angel of death didn't have like a computer, so he knew which was which.
So kind of like how I know I sometimes knock on wood, hoping that a jinx will pass over me.
Yes.
Okay.
We put real blood, blood of, I guess, blood of a lamb on the doorpost. And it's a rather brutal story. The angel of death then killed the Egyptian children. The children, too. Apparently it was the... And it was in some ways karma, because when Moses was born, the Pharaoh was scared that the slaves were getting too many and would revolt.
Okay, so he was starting to sense that the slaves might revolt.
Yes.
Kind of like, okay, yeah.
And he told he made a law that all the boys that were born had to be killed.
Okay, now what do you think his reasoning was with that?
Well, the girls, the girls were gentler in those days, perhaps.
Okay.
And were oppressed more. But so that if you killed the boys, I mean, we do that in America now, that 1 out of 3 black men, not the women as much, between the ages of somewhere like the late teens to the 30s are involved in the prison system. So we're still punishing, oppressing big time. We read in the newspaper yesterday in the Times that this black man, I'm almost sure he was black, was on death row and was going to be killed, I think, 14 times.
Yeah, 14 times on death row.
Until they found out that the prosecution had withheld like crucial evidence, like something
his
like
blood type.
His blood type was not at the robbery site. So we're still oppressing people. So this story is, or the story of it, or the fact is still happening now. So, but the karma of it was that Pharaoh and the Egyptians wanted to kill the boys that were born of the Hebrew slaves, of the Hebrew mothers, and at the end of the Hebrews' life in Israel, in Egypt, the Egyptian children were killed. So at the beginning, the Hebrew boys were killed, and at the end, the Egyptian young men and boys were killed.